All right, let's do top 10 linebackers, why don't we? This is off-ball linebackers because, of course, not counting it's weird how football works where you have like the edge rushers who are technically linebacker in name, which seemingly just confuses everyone. No, there's off-ball linebackers and there's edge rushers. This is the top 10 off-ball linebackers. Let's just get into it. Number 10, one of the stars of the most recent Super Bowl, Kansas City Chiefs linebacker Nick Bolton, who is, I thought really is coming into his own is maybe the way to phrase it. I think he consistently has been getting better in his short career so far, and is still so young. He can definitely keep things going. I think he's one of the guys who we're going to talk about. There's so many. One of the interesting things about linebackers is there's so many different ways you can use off-ball linebackers, but he's definitely someone who is asked a lot, and he's able to do a lot, and because of that, I think that, again, we've seen him be able to make the splash plays that we saw in the Super Bowl where he nearly had 2 touchdowns, but we've also seen him do some other stuff. We've seen him just be able to do the simple stuff, make the tackle, fill up your gap, that kind of thing. So because of that, number 10, and I would expect that he'll continue to climb this list as his career goes. Number 9 is TJ Edwards, who was of the Philadelphia Eagles last year. The Chicago Bears have just signed him, so he's now there. Didn't go for a ton of money, which was surprising to me. Here's why I think that he didn't go for a ton of money is, Eagles played a lot of cover 2 zone, right? It's a lot of, hey, just cover your area. But at the same time, teams are going to run zone busters. There's a lot of details you need to learn in doing that. And I thought that he was so important in making sure everyone was covering the right guy throughout last season, and a key part of why that defense was so good. I do think the Eagles are going to, miss him when he is gone. I think the Bears, to me, I love that signing. We can talk about another linebacker signing in a second that was a lot more controversial, but this one was, I think, pretty accepted to be a great one, so I have it at 9. Number 8 is Shaq Leonard of the Indianapolis Colts, formerly known as Darius Leonard, who, missed all of last year due to an injury, so that kind of sucks, and, definitely is part of what brings him down a little bit as he's been out of the public eye now for a bit, but still, at his best, is an incredible player, an incredible playmaker. That's always been kind of the thing about Leonard is he can get these elite, plays to happen consistently. Kind of the question is, how much of that is luck and how much of that is pure skill? Well, some of it is skill for sure. So because of that, I have him at number 8. The injury knocked him a little bit, but still deserves to be on the list in my opinion. Number 7 is a guy who I've definitely been critical at times of, but I have to put him on this list. I believe last year I didn't put him on the list, but the thing about Roquan Smith, I think what we've learned in his time in Chicago is that he is not a scheme-proof player. I think that probably the top 5 guys on this list, I would say, could work in any scheme, although can be better in specific schemes. Roquan Smith, to me, is not one of those players. I think that depending on, when he had to kind of play just this sort of cover 2 zone coverage scheme, that's just not really where he thrived. His skill set really is, go up, make plays happen, go blow stuff up. And when he was doing that in Baltimore, he looked like a completely different player and had way more value there. So because of that, I think that he's, deserves to be on this list. And to me, showed that, okay, some of the issues we saw the past couple of years in Chicago weren't necessarily a talent issue. It was a scheme issue. And now that he's in a scheme where he can, really thrive, it's just working a lot better. Number 6, I'm going from a former Bear to a current Bear now. Tremaine Edmunds is a guy who I think is really underrated. I think that what he did last year in Buffalo was outstanding. And while, yes, he had a linebacker who's still on this list also next to him, which of course helps, I think that he did so many little things. To me, he showed me he was the kind of guy who, with linebackers, I kind of often compared him to baseball players of you have the guys with high batting averages and then the home run hitters because it is such a unique position. To me, Tremaine Edmunds, he hit 300 last year. He had a great batting average and still hit some home runs as well, but definitely the batting average stuff was at such a high rate. Maybe he even, I don't know, he led the league in batting last year, batting average. That's how good he was. I think that he was awesome, and if he continues to do this, the biggest knock on him is it's a bit of a one-year wonder in a contract year, which is a fair knock, but that's really the only criticism I have. What he did last year I thought was outstanding. Number 5, I'm still going to put his former teammate now, Matt Milano, so he, Buffalo Bills player who I thought did a lot of nice things, and it's definitely one of the better coverage linebackers in football. Another high batting average type guy. Him and Edmunds, kind of similar players a little bit, but I think what Milano does, he's just done it for longer, which is kind of why I put him at number 5. Again, you could honestly argue Edmunds might have been a better player last year, but I'm not sure if I would, and Milano is just so good so consistently. He deserves to be in the top 5, a guy who's done several different schemes now at this point and been good at all of them, so yeah, I have him at 5. Number 4, give me Demario Davis. And to be honest, these top 4, you could probably, you could argue either one of these is the best in the league. Demario Davis has been so good for so long for the Saints now. Again, kind of a weird player where he really hit his prime late into his career, but once he did, he's just been outstanding. He means so much to that Saints team. No matter what coverage they run, he always knows exactly what to do. He knows how to get teammates in position. Definitely kind of that, the on-field leader that has meant so much to New Orleans. He's incredible, and he deserves to be on this list. I have him at 4. Number 3 is Lavonte David, which, listen, you know me, I'm a Tampa Bay fan. I could have probably, I could have put him, I could have made a whole video about Lavonte David. In fact, I'm pretty sure I have made whole videos about Lavonte David on this channel. He's incredible. I mean, one of those guys who does all the little things. You talk about high batting average players who also hit home runs. That is Lavonte David to a T. David is pretty much always in position. He's not someone who gets himself out of position. He knows his assignment. He's so good he made people think Devin White was good. That's how good he is, and has the ability to make these splash plays as well, which he hasn't quite done that as much these past couple years, because again, if you have Lavonte David and Devin White, who's the guy you're going to have blitz? You're going to have Devin White blitz, of course, because then you have David play coverage, but David can also do those flashy things as well. And I think we've seen that these past couple years as he's just been incredible. Number 3 on this list. Number 2, I'm still going Bobby Wagner, who I do think is someone who I think he could work in any scheme, although we definitely see him kind of, he's a zone coverage linebacker. That's just how he's always played. But he does so many things so well. Another guy who does a great job at getting his teammates and getting himself in position, communicating, which is so important for linebackers, especially zone coverage linebackers, and how good he is at doing this. He was PFF's number 1 rated linebacker last year. Again, it's kind of one of those things where you ask 10 different people who their favorite, linebacker is, you'll get 10 different answers. But Bobby Wagner, I think, you could make the argument for him being number 1 for sure. But I have one guy a little bit higher. It's Fred Warner of the San Francisco 49ers. I feel like year after year, I put Fred Warner at number 1 on my list. I'm just a huge Fred Warner fan. I just feel like every time I watch 49ers tape, there'll be a certain play, and it's like, oh, that coverage got, sniffed out. It's like, and then I'll, rewatch it, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see. Fred Warner, told his teammate, hey, go cover that guy. I'm gonna cover this guy, and then, he gets in position to be able to do it. It's his high football IQ that puts him at number 1 for me. He's obviously a special athlete, that goes without saying, but really, the way he's always in position and the way he makes his teammates around him better, which is not something that everyone on this list does, but it is something that he does, I think, better than anyone. I think he's one of the better, on-field leaders that we have, which has a real, value you can see on tape when you watch it. And even without that, though, he'd still be in the conversation for being the best linebacker just because of how physically gifted he is. Absolute superstar. I have him at 1. What do you think of this list? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.